Hello, 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 and welcome to Model Deployment with PyTorch. Now, this is a very exciting part of the course because it is Milestone Project 3. So we're going to be building upon everything we've learned so far, and we're going to deploy, we'll see what that means in a second, a PyTorch machine learning model. So let's start off how we always start off. Where can you get help? Now, of course, follow along with the code. If ever a project to experiment on, it's with model deployment. So if in doubt, run the code, try it for yourself, press Shift, Command, and Space to read the docstring. If you find that that's a bit hard to read, I do quite often, search for it, you'll find the PyTorch documentation or the PyTorch forums, then try again, and if you're still stuck, of course, head to the GitHub discussions page where you can ask a question there, and then someone from the course or myself will help you out and answer it. So let's jump back. Now let's answer the question, hey? What is machine learning model deployment? Well, I define machine learning model deployment as making your machine learning model available to someone or something else. Now, what does this mean? Making your machine learning model available to someone or something else. So let's see an example, hey? Let's say we had some data, various kinds of input, such as rows and columns or images, and we passed it to some kind of model here. Then we have some sort of outcome, and we have someone else or something else. Now, of course, these can mix and match, but in the case of Food Vision Mini, where we've been working on a computer vision model to take in images of food and then classify them into something, such as pizza, steak, sushi, so that someone could use it on a mobile device and take a photo of their food and then learn about it. So in this case, our model deployment would be for someone else. We want someone else to directly interact with our model. Whereas, in the case of maybe you have some financial transactions, and you build a model on that, such as XGBoost, and that model is used to detect whether the transaction is fraudulent or not. So it would be classifier. So if you swipe your credit card, maybe there's some model on the back end of the transaction system that goes, hey, this credit card is legit, let's let the transaction go through, or perhaps it's a stolen credit card and it blocks the transaction. So in this case, it would be something else, because the model is being used by another app or program, such as a database or something like that. But of course, as you can see, these can mix and match, because really this model here is also interacting with someone else, because we would experience it if the transaction was blocked, if we were trying to purchase something. And this here could also be used by another program if, say, for example, you wanted to track the images where your computer vision model, our Food Vision Mini model, was wrong. Say it predicted sushi instead of steak. It might go to another program which would update the data set on the back end. So machine learning model deployment is getting someone else to interact with your model or something else, such as another app or program. Now you might have the question, why deploy machine learning models? Well, we've gone through some use cases already, but the number one reason is it's fun, and here's one of the most important philosophical questions in machine learning. If a machine learning model never leaves a notebook, does it exist? Meaning, so far the models that we've built, we've only had access to them ourselves. No one else has been able to access our models. So if our machine learning model, if we train a model in a Colab or Jupyter notebook and no one else ever uses it, did the model actually exist? And so if you remember back right at the start where we discussed the concept of 3 data sets, such as the training set, the validation set, and the test set, well, I'm going to introduce to you a 4th data set. So we have 4 data sets now. So the training set, validation set, and test set generally take place in a notebook/local environment or Google Colab. But now we have a 4th data set, and that is the real world. So ideally, why are we training machine learning models? Well, of course, it's nice to get good metrics on the training set or the validation set or the test set, but truly, if you're like me, you want to use your machine learning model in the real world. And of course, you can only test it here by deploying. You can only test your machine learning model in the real world by making it available to someone else or available to something else. So let's keep going. This is where everything's coming together. This is milestone project 3. I told you we're going to tie everything together. So this is our PyTorch workflow, one of many. We've gone through this several times now. Getting data ready, building or picking a pre-trained model, building a training loop, picking a loss function and optimizer, fitting the model, evaluating, improving through experimentation, save and reload your trained model. But now let's add another step to this. And this is step, look at all these models appearing all over the world. I mean, that's quite a funny shape. I believe that's Europe, and that might be Africa, South America, North America. This is step X. So I've got incremental steps here, but step X, because X is a cool number, you can substitute whatever you want. This is our deploy and monitor step. So after we've gone through all of these steps and we've found a pretty good model that's performing quite well, our next step would be to deploy it and see how it goes, monitor, as in evaluate its performance in the real world. And then we might find that, hey, once we've deployed it, we've run into problems that we didn't find in the training and test data set. So we have to collect more data or update our data set or update our model. And then we go back to this start workflow, do all these steps again, and then come back to here. And then we create this loop. Now, here's another point. We saw this in PyTorch paper replicating. This is from George Hotz, founder of Common.ai. And he wrote down in a live stream once that if you want to become a machine learning engineer, download a paper, as in a machine learning research paper, implement it. That's what we did in the last section. And then keep doing this until you have skills. So you could go through these 3 steps, but I'm going to add my own 4th step here. And that is machine learning engineering also involves building infrastructure, as in the code around these steps, around your models, / data pre-processing steps. And one of those infrastructure steps is code to deploy a model. So if we come back here to the workflow, these steps here are generally known as machine learning or data science. But then once we start to deploy and monitor our models, this is quite often referred to now as ML Ops, which is short for ML operations or machine learning engineering. And if you want to learn more about that, how can you find out? Well, you can go, what is ML Ops? Here we go. ML Ops 101, ML Ops, heaps of resources here. What does Wikipedia say? ML Ops or ML Ops is a set of practices that aims to deploy and maintain, there we go, deploy, that's what we're going to be doing, and maintain machine learning models in production. So production means your model is available to someone or something else reliably and efficiently. Okay, beautiful. And I've got a few resources here because this is quite rapidly evolving field, ML Ops. We're going to talk about a fair bit about it, but if you'd like some resources to learn more about machine learning engineering, I'm going to give you a spoiler alert for PyTorch Extra Resources. So this is the notebook that we're going to be working through in this section, PyTorch Model Deployment. So that's what these materials are going to be based off. You can go through that at your own leisure, but we're going to be focused on coding all the steps in here. But this PyTorch Extra Resources section is available here, and there's a lot of extra resources for stuff to extend the course. But one of the main ones here is resources for machine learning and deep learning engineering. In other words, machine learning operations. So if you'd like to learn more about that, I've got great books here, great courses, another great book, and another great course here. With that being said, let's keep going forward. What kinds of machine learning model deployments are there? And you know what? I think we've covered enough in this introductory video. So let's leave this on a cliffhanger, and we'll take on this question in the next video.